Hello everyone, this will be the review of game Insurgence, Chains of Renegade, and the key was provided by developer. I just finished the game. It took me over 5 hours. They say it's 10 hours. I actually have 10 hours of playing, but it's probably because I was idling a little bit. The game is done in some RPG Maker, so it has all the problems of the engine used. But it also has a couple of nice, interesting ideas put into it. I'm not an expert on the engine itself, so I cannot tell you which is the innate part of the engine which was changed by the developer. But it was quite okay to play actually. There was a lot of combat and some dialogues. I'm going to show you maybe a little bit of combat and then mostly just the interface and shops, because I don't want to go into the story or spoil anything. You can say it's around 5 to 10 hours game. I'm not sure if it's completely finished. It has a little bit different ending than what I expected. Kind of like unfinished, or maybe there'll be, well, I mean, it has conclusion, sort of, but it says it's the end of something. Then that's a strange name put there. So I'm not sure if this is the first part or if it's going to be continued. Hard to say. There was definitely a story which had some conclusion, but it might be continued in some way. The game actually told me that that's it for the story. That's all you can do. You finish the story, you can go to the ending. I did, and that was it. I'm now kind of left here to do whatever I want. Well, basically grind if I want to, but because I kind of finished and I feel like completed. That's all I wanted to do. So this is the combat, the typical normal turn-based fight, right? You pick a skill out of, special attacks. Where is it? Oh, special attacks, right? You have magic if you have it equipped or not. Some is innate, some can be equipped by special items. And then you have other types of skills from another school of magic, and then the usual typical attack. So you can just smash the enemy, or we can use, let's say, some sort of sword art. It's going to kill the enemies. Then we get mostly experience and usually some monster nodes, which work like money. Basically, monster nodes are just gold, but you have to sell them to get money. So this is the combat. Maybe one more fight with another skill used. You can grind like this, of course, because they will respawn. Maybe I'm just going to attack normally, then again, maybe one more attack from another character. Of course, you can also use items, right? So you can, let's say, throw a bomb at the enemy, something like that. Hope it's gonna blow or something. Yeah, just lagged for a little, but then it was okay. And again, we get some notes, we get some experience, and that's pretty much the combat, right? So very typical RPG Maker style. You move around the environment, everything is top down, right? Very pixelated. Well, maybe not very pixelated, but pixelated. And then you move towards town, where you can buy stuff in shops. I'm going to show you maybe a little bit of town. Maybe I'm gonna move to one of them, like this one. And there is one positive part, one negative part. The negative part is that you have to separately go to different item sections. So for instance, if I want to buy, by the way, there is a delay here. Like now it's delay. Now I can pick, let's say I want to buy armor, right? So I'm checking armor, some delay here, buy, and now you can pick any armor you want, right? They have some additional powers in the top left, so they are tied to an element. They can give you some stats bonus, and normally they just give you defense. As you can see, there's tons of them, right? There's quite a lot of those more expensive ones, and specific armor for every character, so there is lots and lots of them. Actually, there's a lot of items, by the way, they're very expensive, like this one, 75,000. When it comes to items, yes, the game uses the typical RPG Maker setup, but there is a lot of them. Now we have to go back to the blacksmith, right? Completely back to him. And now, after all the delay, you pick another section. It would be nice if you could go like directly from weapon to badge to armor to accessories. Instead, it's forcing you to go back to it every time, right? By the way, those delays are very weird. Alright, and then you pick up, right, some bonuses that will give you let's say additional mana or additional health or more defense and stuff like that. When it comes to weapons, similar story. You have to do everything from scratch, and then, as you will see in a moment, let me just load it. Oh, I didn't want to buy it. So again, tons and tons of weapons. Of course, they are increasingly better, but there is really a lot of them. There is one for every character in your team, so you can pick the one you want. They have different stats, right? Sometimes it's just damage, sometimes there is something else like defense or specific element tied to it. So it's quite deep, I would say, if we can talk about depth in this sort of engine, which is just basically upgrading and upgrading from the worst available items to the best. It's not really much there to be choosing. You just pick what's best, but at least there is a lot of it. And a typical shop like that, it's giving you probably just food, yeah, food and or various items that will heal you. So you can use these to heal, right? There's quite a lot of them. You can also sell your items, and especially sell the monster nodes, right? So if I sell, let's say, this amount of monster node, I get money, and then I can buy items for it and level up my team. Well, basically upgrade them, not maybe level up, but upgrade them. You level up, of course, by fighting. So maybe we go back to the user interface. Right, so we have items. We can use them from here, or we can check a specific type of item that is well, it's art. It's a picture that is some art done by a specific person, and those are to be found in the game. So it adds those like items to be found, and each of them is different graphic style, and so on. Maybe one more. Where is it? Yeah, like this one looks. I clicked it, by the way. I know what happened. Yeah, it was something lagging again. Just do it again. Or not this one. It's very, very laggy. By the way, here is also a problem because I would like to go from one to the other, just browsing through them. Instead, I have to start everything from scratch, or like this, right? Different art style and another item to be found. There's quite a lot of them. Yeah, let's go back. Skills. You can use skills from here. For instance, if I want to heal from this place, I can like heal all from here, right? And now we have fully healed team. We just healed with healing power. Equip allows you to equip items for the character. So let's check here. Yeah, we have different weapons. We have different armor pieces. Of course, this one is the best, and this one is also the best. Badge that we can use. We can also buy better ones. Hats. This one would be more damage. This one would be more luck. And those are just casual other types of weapon. I mean, headband. I'm actually using this one. Yeah, I would lose 5 points here, but gain 5. Actually, I would lose 10 and gain 5, so I chose this one. And then we have some additional special item, which could be like something like this, for instance, right? So better drop rate or resisting all status effects. So stuff like that can be found. There's also one way to change magic used, right? So some characters can use various types of magic. I mean, actually all of them can, but I just don't have those magic kits. So this magic kit allows me to additionally use healing powers, and if I pick this, I will have additional fire attack, right? Let's pick another one, if it's the same or not. Yeah, this one is using cleric kit, and again, yeah, we can pick any of those. So of course, I'm already having everything put on the characters. As you can see, I'm almost level 100, 97, the highest character. So you do get a lot of skills in this game. You do have quite high level cap, if there is any level cap. In many games, this is like level 30 or 50, and you get less. Here you have more, right? If you go to skills on any character, like maybe the first one, there is quite a lot of them because they go down, right? And you have all kinds of elements attacking all characters, all the enemy characters, or singular ones, and they have different effects. So there is quite a lot of them actually. Status probably just tells you, yeah, it tells you the stats, which you don't really understand because it's innate part of the engine. So I'm not sure exactly what luck does or agility or something, but probably can get that information somewhere if you're interested. I'm not sure if this is explained in game. I'm not saying it's not, but I just don't recall. And you see the amounts of experience needed for next level, so this is also quite typical for all those games. Options, there's not many of them, just this is typical screen that you see. Music and sound only goes by 20% and it's quite loud. Can I change it by the way? Yeah, it's lagging for some reason. Right, so you can change these, right? You can get music, background sound, I'm not sure what's this one, something, and then the general sound, and you can run all the time and you can switch to full screen or not. Of course I had as usual problems with recording because this is not cooperating best with the OBS, but I stretched the window completely and I was able to record like this. Saving, yes, you can save in the town. Those are my saves, of course, so you can normally save in town. If you go to the wild, then you cannot save unless there is this saving crystal, kind of like this one, but it's white. And you can also buy stuff from vendors in town. Let's say this guy is selling catalysts, so those are those specific items that will give you all kinds of different powers. I think those are used for power, or those are bombs. There's two types of them. I'm not sure which one is which one. I think this one is actually bomb. This one is weird, like 99,000 damage. But it's very expensive. Yeah, I think those are just bombs, but you can also get those kits. Maybe this one has kits. Let's check it. Maybe he's selling them. No. Anyway, if I go there, I might go to the ending where I don't want to. Maybe this one is selling kits. Crystal skills. Yes, those are the powers. As you can see, I didn't buy many of them. Yes, there's quite some of them. They can give you specific powers, and those can be equipped. Yes, it's enabling powers, and the other one was just bombs. So there is quite a lot of equipment in this game. The combat is just very repetitive, very typical. You fight some number of enemies, all in the same way. You just throw your skills at them, or you attack with normal casual attack. You use items if necessary. Everything is turn-based, and it just repeats itself. The game is generally lacking balance and pacing. It has a very strange pacing and very strange balance. It also has 4 difficulty levels. I think I played on easy or normal. It might have been easy. But when it comes to pacing, sometimes there is a lot of dialogue scenes and you just go from chapter to chapter very, very quickly. And in other situations you can be going for long stretch of combat where there is almost no dialogue going on. You just have to go screen after screen with tons of enemies. There's usually 2 or 3 enemies on every screen, and you have to go through all those fights because they chase you quite well, in a quite annoying way. But well, maybe I can show you. If I go back to the same area where we were before, this sort of wild area, right? So once you go there, as you can see, you're being instantly attacked by the enemy, right? They go right to you and you have to fight. So many combats are just like this. Many combats are just like constantly going between very similar areas and fighting very similar enemies. And if you're not powerful, it might take a very, very long time. So it's kind of connecting 2 types of gameplay. One is where you grind a lot and eventually you get enough level to progress, and the other type of game is where you just walk around talking, or you just being taken by the game from one cutscene to another with a lot of text to read. So it's it's just changing all the time. Sometimes it's very little combat, very much talking. Sometimes there is no talking, a lot of combat. Actually, I would say too much combat and too much backtracking. There is also a specific place in town where you can go. Maybe I can show it to you. Maybe make it a little bit of a guide as well. Okay, but there is not that much really to be explaining, but I can do this much. Vaskia, right? So there is this whole here, right? If you go to this place, this is going to tell you, right? It reports back, so we have to go to some specific guy, right? And it's also going to tell you which region you should go to, because aside from fast travel, you just need to go everywhere by foot or by other vehicle, but mostly it's by foot. So there is a lot of backtracking. If you don't know where you're going, you can check it, but only in towns. You might just need to go from one location, from one town to another, and it's involving a lot of combat on the way, because you are most likely going to be attacked by enemies. They are visible on the map and they will engage you, most of them. I mean, I think all of them will engage you. So yeah, the pacing is strange. You might like it, you might not like it. If you don't like too much combat, you will be annoyed by combat. If you don't like reading, you'll be annoyed by that. But if you like the balance of them, then maybe you will also be annoyed in one part or the other. But at the same time, you can say that it's okay that they are mixing it. So I'm just saying it's not a very typical speed or pace of the game. It's just changing between the two. It's kind of trying to be visual novel. Even some character portraits are done quite well. It's actually has quite nice graphic style when it comes to pictures, and sometimes it's just tons and tons of combat, which is just the typical RPG Maker grind. And when it comes to balance, it's very off, I would say. I can't say it's too hard or too easy. I was playing on easy, I guess, so I was able to progress and beat all the bosses. But sometimes your stuff is very weak against enemies. Just most skills are very useless, and then it's like, well, then it changes and you can easily progress because you get something powerful and it's actually working. So you can keep smashing enemy after enemy. Sometimes you get a lot of experience for them, sometimes you get little for very similar effort. Like there is a situation where you get 500 for one enemy, 3000 for another enemy. They take roughly the same effort to kill. So the experience can change very much. You get most of it from bosses. Just grinding enemies is not very effective, not very efficient. The balance of weapons, well, sometimes you can't buy them because you're just too poor, but you can still progress with what you have. Sometimes your weapon will be very weak, but your skills will be okay. And then possibly, maybe if you had the better weapon, the most expensive one, you would be effective, but sometimes you're not. Some characters have very powerful skills, like triple attack with high damage, while the other character only has weaker magic. It can be a difference between 1 and 20,000 in the same team. So it's very off, I would say. It's very off balance. I even talked to developer and about some prices, and they changed it. There were some mistakes in prices of food, I guess. And also, I'm not sure if some skills don't have wrong description. Some say they are attacking all enemies, but they're only attacking single enemies. So there might be mistakes like this. Also, the game once didn't want to start, and then it started. So I don't know, I played it for a few days. Usually it works, usually it starts and there is no problems. One time I had a situation where it just didn't want to start. It was just hanging in a manager. I already reported it, and there are also some mistakes in English. However, the team that's making the game, I think they are from Indonesia, and they are very responsive. I talked to them, they responded to just talking on Steam, and they also responded I think they responded in the forum as well. So they are trying to fix the game. This is 2 weeks before release, so I hope it's gonna be fixed. It would be nice if you can also give them some feedback, because they do care. I think the small bugs can be ironed out. Those changes of description or grammar mistakes or prices. Some stuff just didn't make sense, but they already fixed it. And aside from this one problem where I couldn't start the game, I had no problems. I just played fight after fight and progress, and there's no problem. There is one problem with the delay. There's some delay when you're trying to just skip past something, and it's especially annoying when you're trying to buy a lot of stuff from the same vendor, like this blacksmith guy. I don't know why this game has any delay, because it should work on a toaster, and for some reason it has those delays which shouldn't be there. Combat is quite okay. It's kind of sometimes laggy, but most of the time you can just keep spamming attacks and powers and it works correctly. I'm not sure if this is some of other stuff that I have running in the background, but you know, it's a very simple engine, so it should just work very quickly, but sometimes it's slightly lagging, like you click attack and then there's small lag, or you cast a skill and there is the lag, but sometimes it works correctly, so it's really hard to say what's causing it. Overall, we can say that it's a typical RPG Maker game with better graphics, because some graphics are better. I'm talking by not only about this collectible picture, but also about pictures of characters when you're talking with someone, main heroes. It also has a couple of like small backgrounds while you talk, so there is like slightly better graphics here, but the usual graphics are like this. You just run around and bump into monsters, and that's what happens most of the time. Sometimes it's also more graphic in the dialogue, but most of the game looks like this, or what you have seen in the combat. It's quite long, I would say. It feels long, because on paper it was like between 5 and 6 hours. My gameplay time was 10 hours, because probably I was just leaving the game sometimes in the background while doing something else. I just wanted to finish it while I was interrupted. So you can say it's between 5 and 10 hours gameplay, but it feels long because there is a lot of plot twists, a lot of reading. The story is quite long, quite convoluted, I would even say. So if you like reading, you might like it. If you don't like reading, if you prefer combat, then you might be slightly annoyed. But as I said before, it's just strange balance between the two. I would say I'm satisfied by the game, because it's enough for RPG Maker, I guess. At least if it felt like long, so it wasn't like 1 hour and it's done. It was like more than 5 hours of running around, talking. I'm quite a quick reader, so it can take you longer. But also tons and tons of combat, and I didn't really grind much. I wouldn't be able to buy all the stuff, so you can definitely grind more and get best gear if that's what you want to do. It's possible you can attack respawning monster as much as you want in some areas of the game. Some stuff is just scripted, but you can definitely grind. You can also grind at the end. You can basically finish the game and then still grind more, if that's what you want to do. If there are any achievements, so far I didn't see any, but if there appear any achievements, you might be willing to do it. So can I recommend it? I'm not a big fan of the engine itself, but I think they did a proper job. I would give them 7 out of 10 in terms of RPG Maker genre, because of course I can't compare it to a big, fully fledged JRPG, because those have much longer gameplay and usually better graphics, so it's completely different echelon of gaming. But in this genre, because they give you high level cap, because the game is quite long, because there's a lot of items in the game, especially powers and gear, and even music is quite okay. There's some specific musical pieces, like at the end on the credits. So there's one, they say there's 2 specific songs in the game, and there is probably some generic music all the time. I always switch it off because it annoys me, but it's quite okay, I would say. They tried to add some graphic style to the game, and they added a lot of items. Also, they're responsive to bugs, so I would say this is above average. This is above average RPG Maker game. I did enjoy it. I'm done with it for now. I'm not sure if it's gonna be continued or if it's gonna be changed or how it's gonna be treated by the developer. For me, it's right now it's a finished story. I went through it. I beaten all the bosses. I went through the dialogue and stuff like that. It was quite fun. It was quite okay. I was kind of sometimes doing it in a window while doing something else because it was grindy, but I don't mind it personally. I can say I had fun, and I appreciate that they try to improve their game, that they care what people think. They were thanking a lot of people for feedback. Also, they thanked me personally, but they also thanked people when talking about their patches and on the forum. So they seem to be caring for their product, and that's something that's always appreciated very much. They like um, they talked to me that they are happy because I said about specific changes in the game, and they actually did them. So that's rare, really. That's very rare for a developer to really change stuff when they see their mistakes, and they do it quickly. So that's quite okay. Um, I'm not sure if this is their first game. It's possible. They don't. I think they don't have English as first language because of the number of mistakes. But I think they did quite a good job anyway. So there will be it, guys. That was Insurgence RPG: Chains of Renegade. That's the full name on the game window. Basically, it's probably Insurgence: Chains of Renegade. And I give it 7 out of 10 because it's better. Well, better specimen of RPG Maker game, which there is tons of them, hundreds probably on Steam itself. So a positive review. I'm not a big fan of this engine, so of course I have to consider my own hatred to it. But I do like the JRPG genre. I just don't like the RPG Maker engine. There's too much of it. I would prefer something else and better graphics. But it's really well done job. It's better than average, I would say. So that's why 7 out of 10. Can I recommend it? If you like those games, if you don't mind the engine, then sure. But I would say grab it on sale. I think games with downgraded graphics and old style retro, well, either just the look or the actual engine, because this is a very old engine probably. Okay, you can say this is a new one, but whatever. RPG game maker games are there for years and they look the same to me. So, you know, it's just something that could work on a phone or some old computer as well. I'm not willing to pay much for games like that. Yeah, I know I got it for free, but that's not the case. For me, if game is done in a retro style, if there is pixel art, if there is some game engine used that was used already hundreds of times, I always go for lower price because you know I can appreciate the story or the graphic style or the length, but I cannot really appreciate just using the same engine and the same assets all the time. Even the combat system is exactly the same like every other RPG Maker game. So I don't personally like it, but if you like it, you can be absolutely okay with it. So yeah, if you accept the presentation, I can recommend it if you like those games, if you like RPG Maker games. That's one of better ones. It's above average, so that's why recommendation. I was having fun. The length is, as I said, around 5 to 10 hours, so that's what you get. Try to grab it on sale. If it's anywhere higher than $10, then definitely you should go for sale. Well, you should go for sale anyway, every situation, but that's what I would do. But yeah, I had fun. I didn't have many problems with the game. There was really no game-breaking bugs or anything like it, aside from this one situation where I couldn't start the game, but in the game itself there were no problems. I was just running circles sometimes, but overall I was able to progress and actually finish the entire game. So in this case, yeah, I played through everything, just the whole game. Alright guys, so that will be it. Insurgence RPG, or just Insurgence, Chains of Renegade, and I'll see you guys in the next review.